Gee whiz.
Hello, friends. I'm John Henderson. Welcome to this series of old-time radio show episodes called Gee Whiz. These are the stories of the schemes, trials, and loves of the typical American teenagers, Andy Hardy, Archie Andrews, and Henry Aldrich. We've got Archie coming up in a little bit, but first, 2 episodes of the Aldrich family. First, we have this fun episode from February 20th, 1940, and it kind of leaves on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I thought it would be fun to merge it with the next week's episode from February 27th, 1940, turn it into one big episode. So here it is, The Aldrich Family from 1940.
Family, starring Ezra Stone, written by Clifford Goldsmith. Brought to you by the makers of those delicious new desserts all America's talking about. Jell-O pudding. In the month of February, fall the birthdays of 2 great American presidents. We don't know, of course, whether Henry Aldrich will ever become president, but as the scene opens tonight in the Aldrich family living room, Henry has a birthday and other things on his mind.
Mother, if you could choose anything in the world for your birthday, what would you take?
$1 million.
No, Mother, be reasonable. I can't give you as much as that. What would you like?
Right at the moment, Henry, your mother would like a mink coat.
A mink coat, Father? A mink coat?
Mm-hmm.
How much would a thing like that cost?
How much do you have?
$2.35. Oh, but that's not important, Father.
No, not at all.
But it isn't. I've got a scheme all worked out. I'll be able to get anything Mother wants.
Really, dear?
It isn't anything more than you deserve, Mother. Could you loan me $2?
To which one of us are you speaking?
Oh, not to you, Father. I realize I've stretched you to the breaking point as it is.
I'm glad you're aware of that.
How about it, Mother?
How about what, dear?
In case you don't know it, Alice, you're about to be stretched to the breaking point.
What is it you want the $2 for?
To put with the money I have. I'm making an investment. I read a pamphlet, see? It's got the easiest way I ever heard of to make money.
What is it?
Rabbits.
I beg your pardon?
Raising rabbits. They'll double your money overnight.
You don't say so.
But they will, Father. You can't lose.
Where would we keep rabbits?
In the basement.
Well, we're not keeping rabbits in our basement.
Read the pamphlet, Mother. One fella started with just 4 rabbits, and in 2 years, he had 700.
And do you think we're going to have 700 rabbits running all over our basement?
Well, I'd make pens for them.
And how would I get into the basement?
Do you remember, Henry, that stray dog that stayed here last week? I had to ask you to feed her every day she was with us.
But that was just one, Mother. I certainly wouldn't forget to feed 700.
Incidentally, who's going to pay for the feed for 700?
Oh, they pay for it themselves.
Oh, I see. Out of their own pockets?
Father, everything I suggest you take lightly.
Well, if you think I'm taking this lightly, you're quite mistaken. You're not going to spend any money on rabbits.
But that's not what I want it for.
Oh, I thought that was what you did want it for.
No, Mother, it's to buy some galvanized feeding pans.
What was that?
Feeding pans for the rabbits.
For what rabbits?
For my rabbits, the ones I've got down in the cellar.
You have 700 down there?
No, Father, just 4. I'm only beginning. They're beauties, too.
Where did you get them, dear?
Happy Taylor gave them to me.
How did the Taylor boy happen to do that?
I don't know. His folks just seem to think we'd like them better than they would.
Yes.
How would you like to be generous, dear, and give them back to Happy Taylor?
Mother, don't you want a birthday present?
Not as much as I want a home.
Well, if I give those back, I won't have anything at all.
How about your dog?
He left.
Because of the rabbits?
But, Father, don't you want me to develop responsibility so I'll take care of things and feed them?
Henry, we are not opposed to your developing all the responsibility you want to, but you'll have to find someone to take those rabbits.
Who is there?
Well, how about Tommy Walsh? He has a much larger house than we have.
Well, could I give him the rabbits but let him keep them here?
And your mother and I could live with the Walshes, eh?
Father, you have no idea how I've planned on this.
Supposing you go to the phone, dear, and see whether Tommy wouldn't like to have them.
Now?
Henry, if you want a rabbit for a pet, that's one thing. But you're not going to raise rabbits in our basement for the purpose of making money. Now, please call the Walshes.
I'll phone them, but I hope they aren't in.
Well, Alice, in 1 year we would have had rabbits in every room in the house.
Sam, don't you think we might at least get Henry a dog?
Alice, by tomorrow you'll have forgotten the whole thing.
Perhaps.
He never has kept it anything for more than 24 hours.
Well, just the same, he might have kept it this.
You mean you want him to raise rabbits?
Well, as he says, it would develop character.
Alice, let's have an understanding right now. Which do you want Henry to have, character or a father?
A father, dear. Who do you suppose that can be at the door?
Probably Mr. Hubbard. I'll let him in. Well, hello there, Hubbard.
Evening. What is it you want repaired?
Oh, the trouble's out in the kitchen. Pipe under the sink.
Hi there, Mr. Hubbard.
Evening.
Oh, Henry, will you take Mr. Hubbard out and show him where that leak is?
Sure thing.
Henry, what did Tommy Walsh say about the rabbit?
His folks weren't in. But he'd be very glad to take them, Mother. This way, Mr. Hubbard.
Yes, sir. You, raise rabbits?
I was going to. Here you are. There's the pipe that's dripping.
Don't know whether I have a wrench that'll fit that or not.
Want me to look in your bag for you?
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a good thing you're getting out of this rabbit business.
Don't you recommend it?
I'd be a rich man now if it weren't for rabbits.
What happened?
By the time it was over, even my wife left me.
Yeah? Do you want me to hold the screwdriver for you?
Will you just put it down, please?
Sure.
I, raised beavers once, too.
Make a lot of money on them?
That was the second time my wife left me.
Well, did she ever come back?
She did, and she got even with me.
How?
She went in for raising turkeys.
She make a lot of money?
That was when I left her.
I see. Well, tell me, did you ever raise silver foxes?
Just for one winter. Now, there was an experience.
Yeah?
If you want to make money real quick, though, the thing to do is raise pigeons.
Pigeons?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to put every cent I've got into.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Once I get it going, I'm giving up plumbing.
Want me to hold that nut?
Just leave your hands off it.
Yes, sir.
I figured out there's 300% profit in every pigeon you raise.
As much as that? What do you sell them for? Eating purposes?
Don't raise that kind. I tried them once. Had to eat them all myself.
Well, what kind do you raise?
Carriers.
Carriers? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The kind that get back home no matter where you take them, huh?
Yeah. Where's my hammer?
Oh, let's see. Oh, here it is.
Leave it there. I'll pick it up. I knew a fellow once that raised carrier pigeons and sold them to the Army.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yep, and put them in races. That's where you make the real money. Sometimes you win as much as $5 or $10.
Gee whiz, I didn't know anything like that was going on. Oh, what is it you're looking for, Mr. Hubbard?
A pair of pliers. Just let me look for them myself.
Do you mind if I point to them?
Where are they? Oh, yeah.
Gee, there's a business I'd like to go in.
What's stopping you?
Well, do pigeons take up very much room in a cellar?
What are you going to keep them in the cellar for? Why don't you keep them in your attic?
Gee, how do they get along in an attic?
All you got to do is fix up some coops and be sure the windows are left open.
I wonder why I didn't think of that myself. Want your 2-euro bag, Mr. Hubbard?
Put it right back where it was.
Yes. How much would it cost to go into the pigeon business, Mr. Hubbard?
Get your head out of the way.
Is that better?
Just keep it out.
I guess you don't need any expensive equipment like you do for rabbits, huh?
All you need is some second-hand coops.
Where could I get those?
Any reason you couldn't advertise in the morning paper?
You mean advertise? I just say I want some second-hand pigeon coops, and that's all?
What else would you suggest?
Sure, and I'd save money. Unless, of course, nobody answered. But then the way I look at it, you've got to take a gamble at anything if you want to make money. Isn't that the way you look at it, Mr. Hubbard?
Well,
What are you doing out here?
Well, I'm helping Mr. Hubbard find his tools, Mother. Could you please stand back so you don't cast a shadow on him?
Oh, my goodness. The way you've been talking out here, I thought you'd have all the problems of the world settled.
Have you heard us?
Well, I haven't heard what it was about.
What time does the Centerville Gazette close?
Oh, I have no idea.
They're open till pretty late.
They are?
Why do you ask, dear?
Oh, no reason. I was just wondering how long they stay open. Is Father around in the living room any place?
Your father went out.
Is that right? He went out?
Mr. Hubbard, will I be in your way here?
No, ma'am.
Well, goodbye.
Where are you going, Henry?
Just in the living room. Look around. Operator, could you get me the Centerville Gazette, please? Yes, ma'am.
Henry, are you in the living room?
I think I am, Mother.
Mr. Hubbard wants to know whether you picked up his screwdriver.
Tell him he'll find it in his left hip pocket.
Thank you.
Hello? Well, how do I put in an advertisement? Coops. Just ordinary pigeon coops. Yeah, that sounds good. Sign it Henry W. Aldrich. Yeah. About how much will that be? As much as that? Well, would it be cheaper if I left the W out? Well, supposing I leave the Henry out. Okay. Just say reasonable prices paid for old pigeon coops. Sign it Aldrich. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Goodbye.
Henry, will you see who's at the door, please?
Yes, Mother. I'd be very glad to help you, Mother. Gee whiz, Tommy, you over here already?
I came over to get my rabbits.
Yeah, come on in. Did you ask your folks whether it'd be all right?
I don't know why it wouldn't be all right. Why should I worry them about a little thing like that?
Yeah, well, come on down the cellar stairs.
Why don't you want them, Henry?
My folks would rather I raise pigeons.
Pigeons?
Sure. I've become a pigeon fancier.
Yeah?
Sure. I may even raise pigeons for the Army. Big money in it, Tommy.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. For the Department of Interior Communications.
Yeah?
Your rabbits are around here on the other side of the preserve closet.
Oh, show them to me.
Now, listen, before I let you see them, when do I get that who's it you promised me on the telephone?
Oh, tomorrow, Henry. I couldn't bring it over tonight.
Okay. Oh, here they are in this box.
Look at them.
That's what I say. Can you beat that?
Well, what's the matter?
There are 8 here. Can you imagine that, huh?
But all I want is 4.
You gotta take 8.
I haven't got room for 8. I'm going to have trouble keeping just 4 in my closet.
Well, you should have gotten here sooner, Tommy.
Well, it certainly isn't my fault.
Henry, is that Tommy down there?
Yes, Mother, that's Tommy.
Is he taking all 4 of the rabbits?
Yes, Mother.
Certainly glad to hear that, dear.
Tommy, when we go up, don't say anything about the 4 I'm keeping.
Why not?
Maybe I can surprise my mother after all. Boy, am I going to make money. Rabbits in our basement and pigeons in our attic.
Our scene shifts for the next moment, ladies and gentlemen, to a department store where we clear up the mystery of the lady...
Good evening.
...and the gong. Behind the counter on the 5th floor, lamps, china, curtains, drapes, rugs, house furnishings, and so forth, there stands a clerk. Approaching him is the lady who says,
Last week I bought a piece of merchandise in this department. I have it here with me. It's a dinner gong.
Yes, madam.
You see, I used to have a lot of trouble every night getting my husband and the children to the dinner table. They'd keep right on reading the paper or listening to the radio or whatever else they were doing when I called them. So I bought this gong.
An excellent idea, madam.
But now I want to return it if I may.
Well, is anything wrong with it, madam? Let's have a look at it. Sounds all right to me.
Oh, the gong's all right. But recently I've been serving Jell-O chocolate pudding for dinner. Now when I start to ring the gong, my husband and the children are sitting at the table before I get a chance to hit it.
and the very delicious moral to that story is, ladies and gentlemen, folks certainly do get to the table and get there in a hurry when they know there's Jell-O chocolate pudding for dessert. Because, friends, it's a grand treat that everybody loves, young and old alike. Nothing can compare with its rich, creamy smoothness and its thrilling chocolate flavor. And you'll be simply delighted to find how quickly and easily you can prepare Jell-O chocolate pudding, how inexpensive it is, and how many different and delicious desserts you can make with it. So try it tomorrow, why don't you? Start right away to treat the folks at your house to this new family favorite. Swell, luscious, easy to eat Jell-O chocolate pudding. Now, getting back to the problems of Henry Aldrich. Without telling his parents, Henry has inserted an advertisement in the town paper and signed it with the name Aldrich. The scene opens the following day in his father's office.
Miss Thompson, I don't have a great deal of time. Will you take the letter in a hurry, please?
Yes, Mr. Aldrich.
To the Brown Realty Company. Dear Mr. Brown, this is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Mr. Aldrich's office? Yes? Yes? No, sir. You must have the wrong number, I'm afraid.
Wrong number?
Yes, sir. Now, then, you just started a letter to the Brown Realty Company. Dear Mr. Brown, this is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Yes. This is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Mr. Aldrich's office? What was that? I don't understand you. Say that slowly, please. One moment. Mr. Aldrich, somebody wants to talk to you about something.
Let me have it. Samuel Aldrich speaking. What number are you calling? Pigeon Coups? Did you say Pigeon Coups? Well, my name is Aldrich. I'm the only Aldrich in town, but I don't buy pigeon coops. Who is this talking? Charlie? Oh, you can't fool me, Charlie. Now, listen, Charlie, I'm busy as the deuce right now. I'll give you a call later. Don't bother me. Goodbye. Charlie Goslin would try to be funny just when I'm trying to get my work done. Tried to make me think his name was Tony Vecchito.
To be quite honest, Mr. Aldrich, I never did like Mr. Goslin.
Well, we get a lot of business from him. Now then, where were we?
This is to advise you that unless steps are taken at once...
Is that all the farther we got?
It is.
Unless steps are taken at once... what was it I was going to say?
I have no idea.
Oh, I remember. Toward improving the property occupied by my... Let me answer that. Sam Aldrich speaking. Who? Yes, Charlie. Still selling pigeon coops? We'll take all 15. No. Yes, deliver them right to our house. I don't care where you put them. Put them in the living room. Yes, and don't bother me anymore. Just because Charlie Goslin happens to be a client. How far are we?
Right where we were.
Yes. You know, it would be just like Charlie to go and find 15 pigeon coops and deliver them to our house. I remember one other practical joke he tried to play off. Miss Thompson, please answer that. If it's Charlie again, tell him I've gone for the day.
Hello? Yes, sir. One moment, please, Mr. Aldrich. It's the Centerville Feed Company. They want to know whether they may supply you with cracked corn.
For what?
One moment. Hello? Mr. Aldrich wants to know what he would use cracked corn for. No, Mr. Aldrich has not changed his business. He's still practicing law. Goodbye.
Cracked corn? Did that sound like Charlie Goslin?
My suspicion is that was Mr. Goslin.
No. He probably phoned the Centerville Feed Company and told them to call here. Now, unless steps are taken at once to him... Who's at the door?
You Mr. Aldrich?
I am.
About how many pigeon coops did you want?
I beg your pardon?
How many did you want?
Did you say pigeon coops?
Pigeon coop. A paw can let you have all you need up to 60.
May I ask who sent you here?
I don't know. My paw just told me to come up here.
Where is your paw?
Down in front. Had a parked double. We got all 60 down there.
You have 60 pigeon coops down in front for me?
Sure. You want them brought up here?
To the office? No.
Can also fix you up with 60 feeding trays.
No, I'll answer the phone.
Now then, young man, may I ask how your father happened to come here?
I don't know.
Do you know a gentleman by the name of Charles Goslin?
Never heard of him.
Well, here's what you're to do. You're to deliver your confounded coops to Mr. Goslin's residence at 12 Church Street.
All 60?
All 60, and all 60 feeding trays.
Who pays for them?
Send the bill to Mr. Goslin.
Sure. Take them over right away.
That's fine.
Mr. Aldrich. Mrs. Aldrich is on the phone.
What does she want?
There's a gentleman by the name of the Cheeto at your house unloading pigeon coops. He insists upon leaving them in the living room.
Now I know it was Charlie.
Mrs. Aldrich says he had nothing to do with it.
Well, then the fellow must be insane.
That's why she says you're to come over.
Yes. Where's my hat and coat? Right in the middle of the busiest day I ever had. If anyone else calls, Miss Thompson, I've left.
Hello, Father.
Hello.
Can I speak to you just a minute?
You may not. Goodbye.
Well, what do you know about that? Miss Thompson, is he in a hurry over something?
He is. And if I were you, I wouldn't follow him.
Miss Thompson could...
I've got to answer the phone.
Where's Sam Aldrich?
He just went out.
I've got exactly what he wants outside on my truck.
What is it?
A's of the darlingest pigeon coop you ever put your two eyes on.
Well, gee whiz, could you haul them over to my house?
And why not?
Well, I don't think anyone's home.
Oh, now you take the coops, and I'll give you a dozen fine birds to go with them.
You will?
I will that.
Gee whiz, I'll be getting an even better start than I thought I would. Let's go.
For the last time, please put the rest of your coops on your wagon and get away from the front of my house.
You know advertise?
I did not advertise.
The ladies, she know advertise?
I did not advertise. No one in this house advertised. We couldn't have.
That's a funny thing. And my wife, she's to read it to me out loud.
What you probably did was to misunderstand the name.
What's your name?
Aldrich.
Aldrich, that's all right. I'm a telephone to him. He's a say, shoot, so bring me 15 of coops.
All right, I'll admit that I'm the one who answered the phone, but I thought you were somebody else.
I'll meet to his price.
No, I thought you were a friend by the name of Charlie.
I'll sell the... What's the Charlie got to do with it?
Now listen, my friend, for the last time, put that final crate on your wagon and get away from here.
All right. I'm going to go home and read the ad. You sure you know one of these coops are cheap?
Get out.
All right. Give me up, please. Bye. Maybe I see you tomorrow.
No.
Well, thank goodness he's gone.
Oh, you know, Alice, I honestly believe the fellow's crazy. Did you hear him? He practically insisted that we advertised.
Father, take a look.
What is it, Henry?
What I've got right here in this truck. Pigeon coops.
Where did you get those?
They're for my pigeons.
How are you, Sam Aldrich? Well, could you give me a hand, Henry, boy?
Sure.
Hey, 1 minute. Henry, are you unloading those here?
Sure.
Oh, down with them, me son.
Hey, wait before you unload that.
Oh, it's not too heavy, Father.
There you are.
What's that I hear?
Now, for 3 years, I've been wanting to show you me gratitude, Sam.
Mulligan, I'm sorry, but we have no place here for those pigeons.
But, Father, they aren't costing us a cent. We're getting them absolutely free.
What do you mean?
Mr. Mulligan has very kindly consented to credit the coops toward a bill he owes Father.
What was that?
Don't you think that's fair, Father?
Henry, will you and Mr. Mulligan please put that crate back on the truck?
You mean you don't want them?
I do not.
Oh, but it's 3 years I've been owing you that bill, Sam. Don't you think it's about time it was paid?
Sam?
If you'll take those crates away, I'll call the whole thing paid.
Oh, now, that's very decent of you, Sam. Give me a hand, me boy.
But, Father, I need them.
Henry, do you want me to put that on for you?
I'll help him.
You're a gentleman, Sam Aldrich. And the next time I come into town, I'll bring your son a present.
But not pigeons or pigeon coops.
Oh, no, sir, not pigeons. I'll bring him a fine white nanny goat I have.
You will?
You will not.
Good day to you all.
Gee whiz. Now I've even lost what I paid for the ad.
For the ad? For what ad?
For Coups, didn't I tell you?
Let's go into the house, Henry. I want to have a talk with you.
I know what you're going to say.
Oh, I wouldn't cry right out here on the sidewalk, Henry.
I'm not crying. Who's crying?
Oh, you're disappointed, dear, but the next time you do anything like this, you must tell us.
Of course. We may not have room for pigeons any more than we had for rabbits, but we'll find something you can have.
The only thing is I need pigeon coops. I need them bad.
Oh, today you need them, but by tomorrow you'll have forgotten all about them.
Sam, what's that?
What was what?
Something just flew out of our attic window.
Out of which window?
That was one of my pigeons.
One of what pigeons?
That Mr. Hubbard gave me.
That he gave you? How many did he give you?
Just 6. 2 of them are up there setting.
In our attic?
It would be all right if they had a coop, Father.
Henry Aldrich.
Henry, could I see you a minute?
What about, Tommy? What have you got in the box there?
Your rabbits. My mother and father won't let me keep them.
What are you doing, returning all 4 of them?
All 4 of them? There are 10 of them.
Can you imagine?
Henry, we can't possibly take those.
But, Mother, the ones I have don't bother you any, do they?
The ones you have?
Yeah, the ones in the preserve closet. Look who's coming. It's Towser. Oh, my old dog Towser. Well, gee whiz.
And where are you going to keep him,
Oh,
Henry?
he can sleep at the foot of my bed.
Listen, Henry, I want my who's it back that I gave you for the rabbits.
Oh, no, that was a bargain, Tommy.
You've got to give it back.
Give what back?
My snake.
What's that?
No, he gave me that snake.
Henry, why should you want an old dead snake?
But, Mother, it isn't dead. It's alive.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Yes.
It's in my top bureau drawer.
Henry Aldrich!
Henry Aldrich will be back again in just a moment.
You know, Tommy, I just had a big idea.
What about, Henry?
We can make some money on these pigeons. We can clean up.
How?
All we have to do is put another ad in the paper. The only trouble is, though, we'll have to put it in your father's name.
In the town of Centerville, most of the residents are ready for March to come in like a lion and go out like a lamb. But in the Aldrich family home on Elm Street, these traditional animals have been relegated to the background. For Henry Aldrich has real rabbits hopping around the basement and live pigeons flapping about the attic. Our scene tonight opens in Henry's room with Mrs. Aldrich speaking to her son.
Do you want this broken fountain pen, dear?
Yes, Mother.
You want this piece of lead pipe?
Yes, Mother.
Will you tell me what on earth for?
Mother, please. I want everything in my desk.
But, Henry, your desk is a sight.
Let me explain something. Right this minute, I'm very busy. But the first time I'm not busy, I'll clean it out.
You've been saying that for 6 months.
But, gee whiz, when you get through, I won't know where anything is.
What are you saving this ticket to the World's Fair for?
I might use it.
But it's to the Chicago World's Fair. It was over several years ago.
Yeah, I know it's to the Chicago World's Fair. Even if I don't use it, I'd like to have it for a souvenir.
What about these 3 pieces of rock?
Mother, I brought all those back from Vermont last summer. I carried them back purposely. Where did you put them?
In this lower drawer.
Well, there's a very good example of what I'm trying to tell you. Supposing I should suddenly need those rocks in a hurry. I'd have to go through everything I own.
Henry, you're exactly like your grandmother.
Alice, are you in Henry's room?
Yes, Sam.
Did you want me, Father?
No, Henry. Alice, I realize you've wanted a maid for some time and that we now finally have one. But I do wish you'd ask her not to go in that spare room I used to work in.
What's happened now?
She's just gone through the place like a tornado. She's taken half the things off my desk.
The fact is, dear, I cleaned out your desk.
You cleaned it out?
Of course.
Well, what did you do with my pen?
I put it in the pen holder.
What did you put it there for?
My goodness, Sam, don't you want Martha to have any respect for us?
Respect for us? After all, are we hiring her or is she hiring us?
But, dear, she's the only maid I've ever had, and this is her first day here. And your room looked almost as bad as the room Henry keeps his rabbits in down in the cellar.
Mother, do we have to tell her about my rabbits?
Whether we do or not, Henry, I think you'd better be prepared for the day when she finds them.
Well, couldn't you put it up to her? Just tell her that if the rabbits will stay in their room and Father will stay in his, wouldn't she be happy?
Incidentally, who changed the blotter on my desk?
I did.
Well, I didn't want to see it thrown out. I like that old blotter.
All right, dear. Go it down and get it out of the trash barrel. If you want to, you may sleep with it under your pillow. But I certainly hope you won't let Martha see it.
Unfortunately, it had all my telephone numbers written on it.
What do you want done with this Canadian penny, Henry?
I might go to Canada sometime.
Henry, may I come in?
Yes, Tommy.
Take a look at this.
What is it?
It's the morning paper.
Not so loud, Tommy.
But it's got the ad we put in.
Yeah, let's see it.
I'm telling you, Henry, we're going to make money hand over fist.
Has anyone phoned your house yet?
Well, it's too early. But I'm asking you, Henry, who else in town would have thought of using carrier pigeons this way?
Not so loud, I tell you.
What's the matter? I mean, what's the matter?
We've got a new maid, and she ought to get used to one thing at a time.
Doesn't she like pigeons?
We don't know yet.
She doesn't know you've got some up in the attic?
She'll find it out, Tommy. She'll find it out. They're in the room right next to hers. Tommy, fold the paper up quick and stick it on my desk.
Henry, isn't that the morning paper sticking out of your desk?
Oh, that isn't ours, Mother. That's Tommy's.
I'll take it, Mrs. Aldrich. There's no use bothering you with that.
May I see it, please?
Oh, Mother,
Thank you.
have you ever noticed how this piece of granite sparkles?
Henry, I'm looking at the advertisements before I do my shopping.
Oh, wouldn't you like to have me look at them for you?
Oh, I certainly would not.
Have you noticed the ads on this other page, Mrs. Aldrich?
Over here?
Yeah.
Why should I buy a piano?
I don't know. They say they're good pianos.
Alice, will you please tell Martha not to call me every time the phone rings?
Who was that call for?
Tommy Walsh's mother wants to talk with him.
She wants to talk to me, Mr. Aldrich? She wants me?
Yes, Tommy.
Henry, the first one's come. The first one's come.
What has come?
A message he was expecting.
Sam, did you see this advertisement?
What advertisement?
I think it might interest Henry, too.
What's it for, Mother?
A clearance of men's and young men's shoes.
Shoes? Let me say it.
Here. Henry, are you too warm?
Warm, Mother?
What's the matter with you?
I just thought I'd get down and see Tommy. Father, could I have the paper, please?
One moment here. Alice, did you see this?
What?
This notice. It says, carrier pigeon service. Messages delivered to any point in Centerville. Low rates. Our birds can make 60 miles per hour under favorable conditions. Signed, Aldrich and Walsh, Incorporated.
Sam, read that again.
I'd rather not.
Henry, do you still have those pigeons up in the attic?
Well, less than a dozen, Mother.
What do you suppose Martha's going to do when she finds them?
But, Mother, Tommy and I can make some money.
Henry, you don't imagine anyone is actually going to use any such messenger service, do you?
Why not? We only charge 10 cents a message, and the whole thing's clear profit.
Do you mean to say, dear, your pigeons can go any place you send them?
Well, I couldn't go so far as to say that, Mother, but they're trained almost that well.
And when Martha leaves, can your pigeons be trained to do the housework?
Could I keep the pigeons in my room, Mother?
No, dear.
Henry, may I come in?
Yes, Tommy.
Listen, Henry, Mrs. Persons wants us to deliver a very important message for
It's all off, Tommy.
Tommy, what is the message Mrs. Persons wants delivered?
Well, she didn't say. She just said we should come over right away.
Then may I ask how a pigeon could possibly deliver a message for her?
Oh, it'd be simple, Mother. We've got Dizzy Stevens working for us on a commission, see? He takes one of our pigeons over to Mrs. Persons and fastens the message on her foot, see?
Onto Mrs. Persons' foot?
No, onto the pigeons.
How does it know where to go?
It comes here.
Whether the message is for us or not.
Well, this is a relay junction. One of us then detaches the bird from the message, jumps on a bicycle, and delivers it.
Sure, that's all there is to it, Mr. Aldrich.
You don't say so.
Could anything be more simple?
And where is Mrs. Persons all this time?
That's the beautiful part of it. Once the message leaves her hands, she can forget the whole thing.
Supposing there's an answer.
What's that?
Supposing there's an answer.
Well, Mr. Aldrich, don't you think that would be an exceptional case? I mean, after all, most people just send a message and that's all there is to it. Sure, that's what I should think.
Well, Martha will never stand for our keeping those pigeons.
Alice, what does Martha have to do with it? The boys have an idea here.
Don't you want me to keep a maid?
Well, I don't think she should be spoiled.
That's what I think.
Now, can't you explain to Martha what Henry wants to do?
Well, if I can't understand it, certainly Martha can.
Mother, look at it this way.
Henry, there's no use arguing. Martha is not going to like pigeons.
But, Mother...
Henry, let me talk to your mother. Alice, I don't think what Henry wants to do is going to last. But I do think he should be allowed to try it. And I don't see why Martha should be afraid of pigeons.
Would you like it if a pigeon should get into your room in the middle of the night?
What harm could it do?
Well, I'm sure I wouldn't like it.
Where does the trouble seem to be, Henry? No place, Tommy. We just have a temperamental maid.
Henry, if you must go through with this, supposing you wait while I have a talk with Martha.
If you want my advice, don't mention the pigeons to her, and she won't even notice they're there. What on earth is that?
It's coming from the attic.
I think it's Martha.
She's found the pigeons.
A week or so ago, ladies and gentlemen, one of our listeners gave a party. And a few days afterwards, she received a note of thanks from one of the guests. Now, you've all heard people refer to such a note as a bread and butter letter, but this one was a pudding letter, because here's the way it read.
Dear Helen, just a line or two to tell you how much Bob and I enjoyed the party. It certainly was a big success, and we all had a grand time. Incidentally, the real hit of the evening was that wonderful pudding you served for dessert. Bob keeps asking me to find out how you made it. So why don't you be a good girl and send me the recipe? Love, Julia.
Well, the next day, Helen answered her friend's letter, and if you could have peeked over her shoulder, you'd have read this.
Dear Julia, the pudding was called Jell-O Orange Vanilla Whip, and I heard about it on the radio, on the program called The Aldrich Family. Here's the way Harry Von Zell said to make it.
Well, first, you take one package each of orange Jell-O and Jell-O vanilla pudding and make them up as you usually do. Then chill the orange Jell-O and whip it as directed on the box. Next, you chill the Jell-O vanilla pudding and add it to the whipped Jell-O, beating constantly until blended. Then mold, and there you have a truly swell dessert. A glorious combination of golden orange Jell-O and smooth, creamy Jell-O vanilla pudding. Easy to make and downright inexpensive. P.S. Now, why not try some yourself, friends, and see how soon it becomes one of your special favorites. For rich, tangy flavor, for rare, distinctive goodness, Jell-O Orange Vanilla Whip is absolutely tops. Now, getting back to the problems of Henry. The Aldriches have a new maid who apparently does not like pigeons. The scene opens on the second floor of the Aldrich home.
Sam, I've about decided you were right.
Regarding what, Alice?
Well, I don't think we should make Henry get rid of those pigeons just because Martha doesn't like them.
You certainly aren't going to let her go, are you?
Well, I thought you said I should.
Well, that was before she made that beef stew we had for lunch. That was the best beef stew, Alice, I ever ate in my life.
But if we let her have her way on the pigeons, she'll want her way on everything.
It might interest you to know, Alice, that Martha no longer objects to the pigeons.
How do you know?
I had a little talk with her.
What did you tell her?
Well, I told her we'd give her $1 a week more.
Sam Aldrich, you should never have told her that.
But I like her stew.
I still don't believe she's going to stay in a house with something she's scared to death of for only $1 a week extra.
Well, if you must know, I gave her something else.
What?
My trout fly. She wanted it for a hat ornament.
Well, at least I won't be hooked on it anymore.
Mother!
Where are you, Henry?
I'm coming down the attic stairs. Have any pigeons flown in any windows down here yet?
None that I've seen.
Isn't that strange?
How's your messenger service working?
Fine. I wonder how you can account for a thing like that. You gotta give our bird time, Henry. But baby's the fastest bird we have.
Something seemed to have gone wrong, Henry?
Oh, nothing, Father. Nothing. Just seems to be a minor delay. The only thing that's wrong is we don't know where our pigeon went. Of course, maybe Dizzy Stevens hasn't even got her over to Mrs. Persons yet. That's what happened. Sure, Dizzy probably took the nickel we paid him and is out blowing it in. Come on back up into the attic.
Boys, you haven't forgotten your promise to stay out of Martha's room while you're up there.
Oh, we haven't been near her door, Father. Henry, what do you suppose has become of Baby? Gee whiz, there's probably a strong headwind holding her back.
But Mrs. Persons only lives a mile from here.
Maybe she arrived when we weren't looking and couldn't see that this attic window here was open.
She can find this house. She certainly ought to be able to tell whether a window was open.
Tommy, take a look outside.
And what?
Look, she's coming 90 miles an hour.
That isn't the direction Mrs. Persons lives in.
What difference does it make? She's coming, isn't she? She probably went around so she could come in on the wind.
Well, where is she now?
She's straight up there.
Henry, I think I can see the message.
Father, Mother, come up for the landing. Stand back from the window, Tommy, so we don't frighten her.
Where is she?
She's overhead. Gee whiz. She went right by.
To where?
I don't know. She didn't stop.
Just when we need her.
As a matter of fact, that might have been some other bird.
You know, what we need is a pair of binoculars.
Yeah.
Has she landed, Henry?
Not yet, Father. It was just an aeroplane or something.
Henry, take a look out the window.
Where?
She's right over there on the roof of the next house.
Tommy, there she is.
Hiya, baby.
Father, Mother, hey, everybody, look outside.
Come on, baby, come on.
Tommy, is Baby coming?
Here, baby. Here, baby. She just sits on the roof of Mrs. Kilmer's house.
Maybe she wants a rest for a minute.
After flying just 1 mile?
Can you see the message?
Sure. Look, Henry, she's coming. She's coming.
Yeah, only to the end of the roof, though.
Well, that's in our direction, isn't it? Her instincts are right.
Boys, did you have your bird yet?
Where are you, Father?
Down here on the back walk.
She just flew onto the windowsill. And maybe she likes that house.
Maybe she thinks we live there.
Mr. Aldrich, could you get a stick and poke her?
There's no stick down here, that log.
Gee, if everybody would keep quiet a second, maybe she'd come over here naturally.
Henry, she coming? She looked this way.
That means she's getting ready. See that?
What'd she do?
She sat down.
Mr. Aldrich, could you ring the bell next door and ask the people to push her off the windowsill?
I happen to know the Kilmers are out.
At a time like this?
Father, could you go inside and push her off?
I could not.
Well, gee whiz, do you suppose she's going to nest on that windowsill?
Maybe she's going to lay an egg.
Father, do you see that ladder right there by the side of our house?
I do, but I'm not going to climb up it.
But she may be gone by the time we get down there.
Sam, put that ladder against the house and help the boys.
Where are you, Mother?
I'm down here with your father.
I'm not going to climb up the side of Kilmer's house.
Well, wasn't it your idea that the boys go ahead with this?
Well, I certainly didn't know it was going to lead to breaking into houses.
Sam?
All right, I'll help them.
Isn't she timid, though?
Father, if you can get Baby down,
Don't talk to him, Henry. You want him to fall off that ladder?
Must you mention my falling?
Just talk to her, Father, and she'll come.
What shall I say to her?
Just say, here, baby. Come, baby. Here, baby.
I'm not going to say anything of the kind.
Mr. Aldrich, if you'll stand on the top rung and reach, I think you can get her.
Sam, don't fall.
Grab her quickly, but carefully, Father.
Yes. Is there anyone else who would like to give me advice?
Oh, gee, look who's opening that window.
Was there something you wanted, Sam Aldrich?
How do you do, Mrs. Kilmer? Where did the pigeon go?
What pigeon?
She didn't fly in your window, did she?
What are you talking about?
My father, he's trying to get a message.
To me?
No, from a pigeon.
Henry, you're not helping matters any.
Mr. Aldrich, she's down there on the limb of that tree.
Father, all you have to do is move your ladder.
I'm not going to climb anything more.
Sam, if we don't get that bird, we won't have any dinner.
I can't help it.
What are you having for dinner, Mrs. Aldrich? Pigeon pie?
Alice, if I don't stop now, I'll end by climbing everything in town.
Mother, could you climb up the tree?
No, dear.
Could you throw a stick?
There aren't any sticks.
Could you just toss a stone in her direction?
All right, dear.
Not toward me, Alice.
Be sure not to hit Baby either.
Here it goes.
You're too high, Mother!
And now Baby's flown away. Mother, you down in the living room?
Yes, dear. Where are you?
Could you come up to the second floor just a minute? It's Baby.
What's the trouble here?
I just got the message, Father. Mrs. Persons wants a man to hurry over and fix her oil burner this afternoon.
You don't say so.
Henry Aldrich Aldrich will be back again in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a full-length description of perfect dessert enjoyment, summed up in only 3 little words. Yes, just 3 words. Jell-O butterscotch pudding. All you have to do is mention these 3 magic words to your grocer, and you'll be all set to enjoy a rich, mellow dessert that tastes just right and offers you a world of hearty, zestful satisfaction. Jell-O butterscotch pudding has a rare, tantalizing flavor, brimful of swell, buttery, brown sugar goodness. And you'll be simply delighted with its creamy smoothness and tempting golden color. So, friends, try this easy, inexpensive recipe for a delicious treat. You can guarantee yourself a real pleasure, a grand adventure in good things to eat, the very first time you meet up with this popular new dessert, Jell-O butterscotch pudding. The Aldrich Family, starring Ezra Stone, is written by Clifford Goldsmith and will be heard next week at the same time. Original music is composed and conducted by Jack Miller. This is Harry Von Zell speaking and wishing you a good night for those delicious new desserts all America's talking about. Jell-O pudding.
Well, that was a supersized episode of The Aldrich Family from 1940. And now, The Archies.
Let's all go and play some hide and seek. 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 Whoever is it, make sure that you don't peek.
In this episode, they mention Archie's jalopy. A jalopy's kind of a broken down car that teenagers would drive. This episode's from March 4th, 1950.
Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Relax, Archie. Relax.
Yes, there he is again. The young civilians and readers of Archie Comics magazine know and love so well Archie Andrews and all his gang. And now for our weekly visit to Riverdale. It's Friday evening as we look in on the Andrews home. We find Mr. and Mrs. Andrews in the living room. Mrs. Andrews is sewing, and Mr. Andrews is reading his newspaper.
Mary.
Yes, dear.
What time is it?
Time? 5 minutes to 10.
Already? Oh, me. Oh, time sure flies. Mary, let's go to bed.
Bed? Fred, isn't it a little early to be going to bed?
Oh, I don't know, dear. Seems to me we've been up till midnight every night for weeks. It won't hurt any of us to get a good night's sleep for a change.
Well, I suppose you're right, dear. We have been staying up late. But, Fred, on second thought, perhaps you better wait for Archie to come home.
Archie, isn't he home yet?
No, dear. We've been sitting right here ever since dinner, and I didn't see him come in, did you?
No, not that I recall. And after the lecture I gave him yesterday, he promised me that hereafter he'd get to bed earlier. Mary, that boy is getting...
Fred, you know how boys are.
Well, I know how I was when I was his age. When my father told me to get home earlier, George, I got home earlier. And no nonsense about it. Where did Archie go, anyway?
I haven't any idea. He just disappeared right after dinner.
Oh, well, let's go to bed, Archie or no Archie.
Well, maybe you're right, dear. Oh, but Fred, would you like a little snack first?
Mary, that's not a bad idea. What's in the icebox?
Well, I have some cheese. Oh, for pity's sake, could you not be at this hour?
I'll get it.
All right.
Oh, good grief. Jughead.
What'd you expect, Cinderella?
No, Jughead, I certainly did not expect Cinderella. No, Cinderella. I mean, it's Jughead.
Jughead, well, what on earth are you doing here?
Oh, I was just passing by, Mrs. Andrews, and I saw your lights were still on, so I thought I'd come in and see if Archie was still up.
Still up? He isn't even home.
See, was he isn't?
No. Well, I thought he might be out with you someplace.
Not me. I haven't seen Archie all day.
You haven't?
Nope.
Well, isn't there a school dance or something tonight?
Nope.
Well, that's funny. Fred, where do you suppose Archie can be?
Oh, Mary, the boy probably went to a movie or something.
Nope. We've both seen every picture in town.
Really?
Yep.
He's probably over at Betty's house, or Veronica's.
Could be.
Fred, I don't like it.
Don't like what?
Archie's not being home.
Oh, Mary, I don't like it either. I told him to get home earlier.
Fred, I don't mean that. I mean there's something funny about nobody knowing where he is. I'm going to call Betty.
What? Oh, now, Mary, you can't go bothering Betty.
Fred, there's no harm in calling Betty. It isn't even 10 o'clock yet, and I can see all the lights on in her house.
All right, Mary, go ahead and call if you want to.
Operator, get me Riverdale 247, please. We'll both sleep better, dear, when we find out where he is.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, Betty. This is Mrs. Andrews. I didn't wake you, did I?
Oh, no, Mrs. Andrews. I was in the shower.
Oh, I thought Archie might be there.
In the shower?
Well, no, Betty. I meant I thought perhaps he was at your house.
Oh, no, Mrs. Andrews. I haven't seen Archie all day.
Oh, you haven't?
No, is something wrong?
Well, nothing we know of, dear, but I don't know where Archie is.
Well, maybe he's at Jughead's house.
Well, I don't think so. Jughead's here, and he says he hasn't seen Archie all day.
Oh. Well, then there's only one other place he'd be.
Where's that?
Veronica's house.
Oh, well, maybe so, Betty. I'll call over there and ask.
Oh, he's there all right.
Well, I hope so. I'm sorry I disturbed you, dear.
Oh, no trouble, Mrs. Andrews. Bye.
Goodbye.
Mary, you see, I told you not to call Betty.
Fred, she didn't mind at all. But Archie isn't there.
Maybe he's at Veronica's.
Yes, that's what Betty said. I'll soon find out.
Oh, now, Mary, you're not going to call there, too.
Well, Fred, I certainly am. Riverdale 318, please.
Mary, I don't...
Fred, I just want to know where he is.
Oh, me.
No.
Hello, Veronica, this is Mrs. Andrews. I hope I didn't wake you.
Oh, no, Mrs. Andrews. We were just playing records and dancing.
Oh, thank goodness.
Beg pardon?
I didn't know where he was.
Beg pardon?
I'm glad to hear he's at your house.
Mrs. Andrews?
Yes?
I know it's none of my business, but why are you glad that Reggie Mantle's over at my house?
Oh, because I was beginning to get... Who?
Reggie Mantle.
Reggie Mantle? But where's Archie?
I'm sure I have no idea.
You mean he isn't at your house?
My goodness, I hope not. Not while Reggie's here.
Oh, dear. You mean you haven't seen him tonight?
I haven't seen him all day.
Oh, dear.
You sound upset, Mrs. Andrews. Is something wrong?
Well, no, Veronica, no. It's just that nobody seems to know where Archie is.
Have you tried Betty's house?
Yes, she thought he was at your house.
Oh. Well, how about Jughead's house?
No, he isn't there either.
Well, my goodness, where can he be?
Well, I don't know, Veronica, but I suppose we'll find him.
I hope so.
So do I. Well, goodbye, Veronica. Thanks anyway.
That's all right. Bye, Mrs. Andrews.
Fred, he isn't there either.
All right, Mary, so he isn't there either. That's nothing to get excited about. Now, after all, Veronica's not the only girl in Riverdale.
As far as Archie's concerned, she is.
Fred, I'm getting worried.
Oh, now, Mary, just a minute. Now, there is absolutely no point to your worrying about this, dear.
Oh.
That boy's old enough to go where he pleases, when he pleases, without getting into trouble. And I'd like you to give me one good reason why you had to pick tonight to start worrying.
Well...
Stop being foolish, dear. There isn't a thing in the world to worry about.
Of course not. They always notify the next of kin.
Of course they do. Shut up.
Huh?
Don't talk that way.
I'm sorry.
All right. Now, Mary, don't you pay any attention to Jughead. I tell you, dear, there's nothing to worry about.
Sure.
Not a thing.
Sure. He had plenty of identification on him.
Jughead! Please stop talking like that.
Gee, Mrs. Andrews, I'm just trying to cheer you up.
Well, don't. Cheer her up like that much longer, and she'll break down.
I'm sorry.
Now, let's stop all this nonsense. Now, Archie's been out until 10 o'clock at night before, dear, and he'll be out until 10 o'clock at night again. I don't see any reason to start worrying.
Sure. Sometimes people are missing for days before they find the body.
Jughead, for the last time
Fred,
now.
that settles it.
Huh?
I am not going to sleep until we find that boy.
But
Jughead doesn't know where he is, Betty doesn't know, and Veronica doesn't know, and we don't know. And there's no dance or no movie that he'd go to. Fred, if that isn't reason enough to worry, I'd like to know what is.
But I...
Now, Fred, you and Jughead are going out to look for Archie right now, and I don't want you to come back until you've found him.
We'll find him, Mrs. Andrews. Dead or alive.
Jughead! Don't talk that way. Fred, go on now. Put your coat on.
Oh, me. All right, dear, all right. But, Jughead, the next time you come by our house and see the lights on, will you please let us know so we can turn them off?
Mr. Andrews, do you want me to call the police station? Will you check up on the hospitals?
Jughead, if you don't stop being so melodramatic, you're going to need a hospital.
Huh?
Now, we are not going to the police station or the hospital. We are going to the drugstore first. Unless I miss my guess, the only trouble Archie is having is getting the last sip out of a chocolate soda.
Gee, I never thought of the drugstore. I bet that's where Archie is.
Probably is. Come on, we'll take my car and... Oh, good grief.
What's the matter?
I just remembered. I meant to stop for gasoline on the way home, and I forgot all about it, and the gas tank is practically empty.
Gee whiz. Have you got enough left to get to a gas station?
Maybe if we coast down the hill.
Mr. Andrews, I got
How do these things happen to me?
Mr. Andrews,
Just when I'm in a hurry, I have to worry about gasoline.
Mr. Andrews,
So what's the matter with you?
Nothing. But we don't have to take your car.
Well, if you think I'm going to walk all over this town, you're crazy.
Oh, I don't mean walk, Mr. Andrews. But Archie's jalopy is right here. Let's take that.
Archie's jalopy? Why, Jughead, I'm glad you thought of that. It's a fine idea. We'll go in that.
Sure. And don't forget, we already know something about Archie.
Yeah, what's that?
If Archie's been killed, it wasn't in an automobile accident. Okay, Mr. Andrews, I won't say another word.
I hated to make Fred go looking for Archie, but he's never just disappeared like this before. Oh, dear. Maybe that's news about Archie now.
Hello, Mrs. Andrews.
Betty, what are you doing here?
Well, after you called, Mrs. Andrews, I got to worrying about Archie, and I came over to see if everything is all right.
Oh, that's sweet of you, dear, but I don't know if everything's all right or not. Mr. Andrews just went out to look for Archie.
Golly, wasn't he at Veronica's house?
No, he wasn't. And Jughead says he and Archie have seen all the movies in town, and there's no dance or anything at the school tonight.
Well, golly, where could he be?
That's a question. That's what I'm getting so worried about.
Oh, please don't worry, Mrs. Andrews. There's nothing to worry about.
Well,
they say no news is good news.
Yes, I know, Betty, but I just seem to have a premonition that something terrible's happened.
Golly, you do?
Yes, Betty, I do.
Oh, golly, my Aunt Matilda had a premonition once.
She did?
She dreamt that my Uncle Oscar was going to die.
And did he?
Worse than that.
What?
He ran off with a tattooed lady in the circus.
Betty, you see, when people have premonitions, they usually turn out to be true. Now, that settles it. I'm going to call the police.
The police?
Yes, Archie's definitely missing, and I want them to find him before it's too late.
Too late for what?
I don't know. Operator, get me the police.
Oh, golly.
Hello? This is Mary Andrews of 317 Maple Street, and I want to report a missing person. Yes, it's my son. His name is Archie. Yes, Archie Andrews. Well, he's a high school student, about 5'7", and the last time I saw him, he was wearing gray slacks and a red bow tie and a black sweater with a big letter R on it. That's right. Anything else? Well... Oh, yes. In all likelihood, he's driving his jalopy, an old wreck. There's only one like it in town.
Mr. Andrews?
What?
Maybe we would have been better off walking.
Don't be so silly. This jalopy is faster than walking.
Yeah, but when you walk, you don't feel so much like a milkshake.
Never mind, Chug. This was your idea, so stop complaining. Oh, there's the drugstore right down the block there.
Yeah, you better put on the brakes, Mr. Andrews.
With a full block to go?
You bet. I know this jalopy better than you do.
Jug, that's silly. Now watch. I'll stop this car right in front of that drugstore, or my name isn't Fred Andrews.
Hiya, Joe.
Yeah. Jug, don't be funny. I'll back up to the drugstore.
Mr. Andrews, you might miss it again. It'll be easier if I got out and walked back.
Oh, all right, Jughead. You look and see if Archie's in there, and I'll wait for you here.
Okay, Mr. Andrews. Be right back.
Don't stop to have any sodas now.
I won't.
Fine thing. Mary gets all upset over nothing. I have to go traipsing all over town in this old wreck looking for Archie when he's probably
Well, now, this looks interesting.
Oh. Hello, officer.
Hello.
Oh, I'm not parking here. I'm just...
Tell me something. Is this your car, mister?
My car? Well, no, as a matter of fact, it isn't my car.
I see. And do you happen to know whose car it is?
Well, yes, I do. It belongs to...
Well. And just what did you do with him?
Well, I took him down to the... Do with him? Do with who?
The youngster who owns this car.
Archie?
Oh, then you do know him.
Oh, yes, I've met him several times. Do I know him? Of course I know him.
And perhaps you can tell me where he is now.
I haven't the vaguest idea.
Oh, so you won't talk, eh?
Officer, look,
That's all I wanted to know. Now move over, mister, and start this jalopy. You and I are going to take a little trip down to headquarters.
Oh, but officer, I can't right now.
I said start this jalopy.
Yes, sir.
And don't you try any tricks.
Yes, sir. I mean, no, sir. But, officer, look, I'm sure you don't understand. Now, if you only give me a chance, I can explain everything.
Mr. Andrews, I looked all over the drugstore and there wasn't a sign of Archie anywheres in there, and gee whiz. Now there isn't a sign of Mr. Andrews either.
Oh, dear. Betty, I wish someone would call.
Golly, Mrs. Andrews, I wish you wouldn't be so nervous. They'd call if there was anything to tell you. You shouldn't worry so much. It's not good for you.
Oh, Betty, I can't help worrying.
Mrs. Andrews, suppose I make some hot tea. Maybe that would make you feel better.
Betty, the only thing that'll make me feel better is knowing where Archie is.
Well, let me make you some tea anyway, Mrs. Andrews. It'll just take me a minute.
Well, all right, dear. Oh, Betty's so sweet. How can I help worrying? They must have some news about Archie by now. Oh, dear. Hello? Hello?
Oh, hello, Mary. This is Fred.
Oh, Fred, where are you?
At the police station.
The police? Fred, what's he done?
What's who done?
Archie.
Well, Mary, I'm not here because of Archie.
You're not?
But I am here because of his jalopy.
What's the jalopy done?
Nothing. I got arrested for driving it. Some darn fool reported it stolen or something.
Oh, dear.
For Pete's sake, come down here and identify me right away, will you?
I'll be right there. Is your car here?
Yes, dear, but you better
I'll
not...
be there in 2 minutes. Bye.
No, but Mary, wait.
Oh, dear, I've never seen anything like this. I report Archie missing and they arrest Fred.
Here's the tea, Mrs. Andrews. Mrs. Andrews? Mrs. Andrews? Mrs. Andrews! Golly, now where did she go to? I knew she was acting funny, but I didn't think she...
Mrs. Andrews, Mr. Andrews just disappeared. I got out of the jalopy and went to the drugstore for a minute and... Oh, Betty.
Jughead, what are you doing here?
I'm looking for Mrs. Andrews. Where is she?
She just disappeared.
She what?
She disappeared right into thin air.
Boy, this is the disappearingest family I ever saw. When did this all happen?
Right after I said I'd go make her some tea.
Gee, maybe you should have offered her some Ovaltine.
Jughead, don't be funny. I'm worried about her. She seemed so upset.
Upset?
She kept pacing up and down and saying, "Why don't they call? Why don't they call?"
Gee, she's cracking up.
Jughead, don't talk that way.
Well, you never can tell. I'm reading a book right now about a woman who lost a child and went all to pieces.
Golly, Jughead, you don't think that
Could be. Look at it this way. Archie's missing. Mrs. Andrews is worried. She doesn't know what's happened to him. She waits and waits, hour after hour.
Oh, Jughead, it's only a few minutes.
Same thing. Her nerves are tense. She's worried. She's frightened. She's upset.
Yes?
She can't stand the waiting. The phone that won't ring. The empty house. Her son, her little darling baby boy is gone.
Yes?
And then what happens? What? You come in and offer her tea and boom, she snaps.
Oh, golly.
It's all too much for her. She's got to get out of the house. She's got to get away from here. She can't stand it.
Golly, Jughead, what'll we do?
I don't know. That's as far as I've gotten in the book.
Jughead, there is only one thing for us to do.
What's that?
Call the police to look for her and warn them that Mrs. Andrews isn't in her right mind.
Oh, I've never seen a night like this. Archie lost, Fred in jail, and everybody running around in circles. Oh, dear. Now, what's the matter with that motor? I can't... Oh, dear. Out of gas. Of all times, just when I'm in a hurry. Dear. Well, there's only one thing to do. I'll just have to go find a gas station and get some gas, that's all. Sometimes I wonder what that family of mine would do if I didn't take care of everything.
What does the police say about Mrs. Andrews, Betty?
Well, I gave them a description of her, Jughead, and they said they sent an alarm out right away.
Well, with so many of the Andrews family running around loose, the police ought to come up with at least one of them.
Jughead, this is no time to be funny. I'm really worried about her. Oh, golly, maybe that's her. Veronica!
Betty, what are you doing here?
Oh, that's a long story. What are you doing here?
Well, I just drove Reggie Mantle home, and I thought I'd drop by and see if they found Archie yet. Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi, Veronica.
Well, no, Veronica, they didn't.
My goodness, I wonder where he can be.
Well, we're looking for Mrs. Andrews now.
Mrs. Andrews?
Uh-huh, she disappeared.
And Mr. Andrews did, too.
Mr. Andrews? Oh, golly, maybe they found somebody. Jug, you answer it.
I got it. Hello?
Jughead, is that you?
Yeah, is that you, Mr. Andrews?
Yes, where's my wife?
Gee whiz, how did you hear of it?
Hear of what?
You mean you don't know?
Don't know what?
See, maybe I better not tell you.
Better not tell me what?
It would only worry you.
Jug, look, I don't know what you're talking about, but if someone didn't get down here to identify me right away, they'll lock me up for the night.
Lock you up? Where are you?
At the police station.
Gee whiz, what did you do?
I didn't do anything, Jughead. It's just a mistake. And as soon as someone identifies me, they'll let me out.
Gee, Mr. Andrews, maybe you'd be better off making a clean breast of it.
What?
Sign a confession.
But, Jug...
First state's evidence.
Jughead,
Throw yourself on the mercy of the court.
Jughead! For Pete's sake, cut that out.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Now, I tell you, I haven't done anything. Nothing at all. Even the police believe that, but they want someone to identify me for routine reasons. Now, do you understand?
Anything you say may be held against you.
Jughead, look. Quit playing lawyer and get someone down here to identify me.
Well, Mr. Andrews, Veronica's here, and she's got a car. We could send her down there.
Well, Jug, that's fine. I'm from Pete's. Now, tell her to get down here in a hurry, will you?
Okay, but remember, Mr. Andrews.
Remember what?
A man's innocent until he's proven guilty.
Jughead.
Okay, bye, Mr. Andrews.
Goodbye.
Jug, what happened?
I'm not sure, Betty. But, Veronica, you better go right down to the police station.
The police station?
Yeah, you gotta spring Mr. Andrews before he goes up the river. This mob's gotta stick together, see?
Now, I was sure there was a gas station on this street somewhere.
Just a minute there, lady. Just a minute.
Oh, Officer Good. I'm looking for...
What's your name?
Mary Andrews, but I'm looking for...
Well. Mary Andrews, is it?
Yes, officer, but I'm in a hurry right now.
Oh, and just what is the hurry?
I can't find a gas station.
Where did you lose it?
Right over here somewhere. Lose it? Officer, I didn't lose it. I'm trying to find a gas station because my car ran out of gas.
Now, that was most unfortunate. And just where were you going when your car ran out of gas?
Well, I was on the way to the police station.
How interesting. How very interesting. And exactly what were you going to do at the police station?
Get my husband out of jail.
Oh, really? Your husband? And just what, may I ask, is he in for?
Well, I don't know, officer. He got arrested while he was looking for my son, who's missing.
Well, your son is missing, and your husband's in jail.
Yes.
And your car is out of gas.
Yes.
Don't call me officer. Call me Mr. Anthony.
What?
Now, madam, don't you get excited.
Well,
it's not good for you in your condition.
But I tell you, I'm looking...
Keep calm, and everything's going to be all right.
Officer,
we'll take you home, and in the morning all these horrid thoughts will have vanished with the night.
But, officer, are you crazy?
Am I crazy? Am I crazy? You know, that's rather nice.
Officer, I tell you,
all right
I'm
now,
all right.
madam. You just come along with me, and I'll take you home where you'll have the very best to care.
But, officer, I don't want to go home. I have to go to the police station.
I know.
Officer, let go of my arm.
Golly, Chuck, I wish somebody would call up or something.
Me too. I've never seen the phone in this house so quiet.
Betty, where's my wife?
Golly, Mr. Andrews.
Gee whiz, Mr. Andrews. How's it feel to be out?
Jughead, never mind your jokes and tell me what's happening around here.
Well, I'm not sure we know, Mr. Andrews. What happened to you?
I got arrested for driving Archie's jalopy, and I still don't know why. And if Veronica here hadn't come down to the police station and identified me, I'd still be there.
Well, you took a lot of identifying, too.
Now, look, what is this Veronica tells me about Mrs. Andrews being missing?
Well, yes, you see, she...
Now what? Officer, you...
Sorry to bother you, mister, but does this lady live here?
Mary!
Fred, Golly, Mrs. Andrews.
Gee.
My goodness.
But I thought you were missing.
She's got something missing. But just tell me, will you, whether she lives here or not?
Of course she does. She's my wife.
That's all I wanted to... Say, mister, haven't I seen you someplace before?
Now listen,
Fred,
officer,
how'd you get out of jail?
Now, Mary,
I thought so.
Officer,
You sound all right to me, Mrs. Andrews.
You broke out of jail.
Judge, will you please...
Right
Now,
out
Veronica,
of jail.
Now, just a minute. Just 1 minute. Now, that's better. Now, listen to me, all of you. This nonsense has gone far enough. Too far, in fact.
I'll say it has.
Yes, Mr. Andrews. Yes, dear.
Uh-huh.
An hour ago, I was ready to get to sleep. And then, just because my wife starts worrying about Archie, we get mixed up with policemen and jalopies and all sorts of things until I'm ready to go...
Stir crazy?
No, Jughead, and be quiet. Now, it's high time we straightened this out and decided where the dickens Archie is.
You mean your son is really missing?
He certainly is.
Yes, and I took his jalopy and got arrested for stealing it. Now, what I want to know is, who called the police?
Fred, I'm afraid I did.
Mary, you did?
When I told him to look for Archie, I told him to look for his jalopy.
Oh, fine. Mary, why on earth didn't you...
Fred, never mind now. I'm sorry. But what I want to know is who almost got me arrested.
Golly, I guess I did, Mrs. Andrews.
You did? But why, Betty?
Well, you see, I was worried about you anyway, and then when you ran out of the house, I decided I better call the police.
Oh, for pity's sake. So that's why this policeman stopped me.
Madam, do you mean that impossible story you told me was true?
It certainly was, officer.
Well, bless my soul. Well, now, madam, if you're not daffy and your husband is not a jailbreaker, I have only one thing left to say to all of you. Good night, folks.
Well, good night, officer. Good night.
Good night.
Well, thank heavens we finally got things straightened out.
Yes, dear, but there's one thing you seem to forget.
Well, what's that, dear?
The thing that started all this. Where is Archie?
Oh, dear. Hasn't he turned up yet?
No, he hasn't. And, Mary, even I'm getting worried about him now.
What's all the noise?
Archie!
Golly!
Oh, my goodness!
Archie, where the dickens have you been?
And what are you doing in your pajamas?
What do you think I'm doing? I've been in bed for 2 hours, but how am I supposed to sleep with all this noise?
But you mean to say you were up in bed? Oh,
The Andrews will be back in just a moment. Meanwhile, tell me, friends, are you saving for a rainy day? The best people are doing it, so it must be a good thing. Must pay off. So how about that? An emergency fund all saved away can make any dark day the future may have in store much easier to take. Especially when your emergency money is invested in United States savings bonds. That's right. Savings bonds issued by our own government and as safe as our government. They're one of the best places you can find for your savings because savings bonds make your money grow and grow. In only 10 years, every $3 you put in grows into $4. Every $300, $400. And maybe you didn't know it, but saving in savings bonds is just like rolling off a log. Yes, sir. You can join either of two plans that make saving as certain as the sun. If you're employed, join the payroll savings plan where you work. Now, if you're in business for yourself, you're a builder or a farmer or a contractor, join the bond-a-month plan, a free service where you bank. For future security, save in savings bonds now. And now back to the Andrews. It's later that night, and everything has been settled, and the family's gone to sleep.
Fred, answer to the phone.
Hello?
Mr. Andrews?
Yeah.
This is the police department. We finally found your son.
Good. You finally found my what?
Your son. We've got him down here at the police station. But he's in a very bad way. He keeps insisting his name is Jughead.
He keeps insisting his name is Jughead. I give up!
You've been listening to another chapter of The Adventures of Archie Andrews, written by Carl Jantel and based on the copyrighted feature appearing in Archie Comics magazine. Archie is played by Bob Hastings, Jughead by Harlan Stone. Mom and Dad Andrews are played by Alice Sherman and Arthur Cole. Veronica and Betty by Gloria Mann and Rosemary Rice. The policeman was Charles Irving, and this program is produced and directed by Kenneth McGregor. Listen next Saturday at this same time for more of the merry adventures of Archie Andrews. This is Dick Dudley wishing you all a very pleasant weekend. So long, everybody.
Programs. Get your programs here. Phil Harris, Frankie Remley, and Julius return tomorrow to worry lovely Alice Faye with their flair for trouble. Hear the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show tomorrow on NBC. And later, hear Gertrude Lawrence starring in Lady in the Dark on Theater Guild on the Air. That's Phil Harris and Alice Faye and Theater Guild tomorrow on NBC. Hear the stars of tomorrow on Hollywood Star Theater on NBC.
It's a few seconds before 8 p.m. BULOVA Bulova Watch Time. America runs on Bulova Time. Yes, wherever Americans travel, they depend on supremely accurate Bulova Watch Time. This handsome Bulova watch with the world-famed 20